Hi guys, welcome back on the channel. Today's video I decided to shoot because I had a lot of discussions with followers of the channel asking miniatures that they can use for the period of the early 100 Years' War. You know, many of them have Baron's War miniatures. They're wondering if some of them can be used for the earlier part, can be mixed with obviously more period-specific miniatures. Now, fighting Poitiers, Crécy, and Neville's Cross, a period very close to each other, battles very close, but very different. And through miniatures, I'm going to try to show you how we can achieve scenes like the ones you're seeing now, obviously, and what miniatures you should use, in my opinion, or if you have a specific manufacturer you like, what the miniature should look like for that period of the 100 Years' War. One, for me, the best and the most exciting and the most beautiful period of the 100 Years' War. So in order for us to understand and to start, having a basis to work on, we have to, this is my opinion, obviously, have to take as benchmark, in my opinion, the best by far miniatures for this period of Crécy, Poitiers, and this is Claymore Castings. As you can see, there is a beautiful variety of miniatures, poses, and for me, it's my favorite manufacturer. Now, as you can see, and let's see a little bit, let's talk about Crécy and Poitiers. Obviously, Crécy and Poitiers, the difference would be basically you will have a mounted French force at Crécy with crossbowmen, and for Poitiers, you will have foot soldiers. You will have foot, three battles of foot. But let's start with Crécy and see a couple of mounted. Now here, for example, you see the Marshal of France who was killed at Poitiers, and obviously the mounted are the same. My, as you all know, or many of you know, my project was Poitiers. Now you see there is a lot of chainmail, and the horses are barded, something very similar to the Baron's War, as you can see now from this Baron's War Footsore figure. But the difference is, you see, obviously the weapon, obviously you see the lance, there's huge difference. But as well, you see that this figure, and now I have it photographed from different angles, has plate, has bits and pieces of plate. Predominantly, there is chainmail and, cloth, a gambit, some more coat of arms. But you see the gauntlet, you see the greaves, you see, the legs are all protected. There is plate there, and that's the difference between, as you can see, let's go back to see another Baron's War figure. There is no actual plate at all. Now you will ask me, obviously there would have been knights who didn't have plate. They had chainmail, they had the armors of their fathers. They were not rich knights or men-at-arms. Yes, obviously you will have this. But for French mounted knights, who were the elite, this would not be, let's see, another French figure here. You see again, there are plates, bits and pieces of plates everywhere. They would have had, most of them, partial plate. Also, you see there is a big difference in helms. The helms change dramatically from the Baron's War to the 100 Years' War. Obviously, Footsore represent early Baron's War, the first Baron's War. Not huge difference with the second, but obviously second had partial plate as well. But I don't know any miniatures that portray the second Baron's War. Now, if we continue and we see some more knights, you see here again, there is plate, there is a chainmail, but the weapons are different. The helms are a bit different, well, actually a lot different. You had still the shield, the horses are barded. You have chainmail, but you have plate again. You can see bits and pieces of plate everywhere. So we would say that for Crécy, yes, you can use some mounted knights that could be lower rank retainers that will have chainmail, or you will have, some poor men-at-arms. But in general, even the lances are different. In general, it won't be the majority, especially for a French force that had the elite of nobles. Now, if we go to Poitiers, and we have a lot more variety in Poitiers because we have a lot of foot, and this is where things are getting interesting. As I told you before, it's good to base your miniatures, to create bases mixed. Very few, bases should be full of well-armored knights unless you're portraying one of the commanders who obviously his retainers were of a very high level knights. If you had like this one here, for example, you see the Black Prince. Obviously, his retainers were well-armored knights, or some other commanders. But in general, try and mix them, as I showed you in many videos, and you see all these beautiful poses that Claymore Casting have and other miniatures have, obviously. But what we see here is something that is repeated in all my videos, and we've been pointing this out, that lower ranking troops, heavy infantry, militia, longbowmen, as you see now, they're exactly the same. There is no difference. This obviously is the difference between the different manufacturers regarding the design intent and how the miniatures look. But if you focus only on what they're wearing, you see just some gambensoms, let's see some foot from the Baron's War, you see some gambensoms, you see some cloth. The weapons, that's what we're mentioning, we're more robust, but again, obviously lower ranking troops will have weapons from fathers or grandfathers. But again, as you can see from the spearmen of the Footsore here, there is not a major difference. All these look very similar. You see here the billman. So the lower ranking troops, archers, now here this crossbowmen, who look absolutely beautiful, Claymore Castings. The crossbowmen are all miniatures that can be used and mixed, and actually that's a good idea because it gives you a little bit more of variety in your armies, as you saw, or as you will see in some of my campaigns that I'm currently shooting. I think it's very easy for militia or peasants from Baron's Wars to be included, or any other period to be included in the 100 Years' War battle. And but again, when you go and you see this array of knights, these foot knights that we have here from my Poitiers project, you obviously see that you have again a mixture. I'm trying to mix them around, but again, you see that you have a bit of plate here and there. I have photographs you see here from the painting stage where I think it's a little bit more clear. You see there is always plate everywhere. There is a lot of predominantly chainmail, but there is plate everywhere. But as you can see, the lower ranking troops have no difference than any other lower ranking troops of, well, the Baron's War period onwards. Now, a miniature that can be used for the 100 Years' War from the Baron's War is this North Crusade miniature for the bishop that everybody likes, and obviously you can see it's very similar with the Claymore Castings. You see he has chainmail, but he has a lot of partial plate. His gauntlet greaves. He has a lot of partial plate. His shield there. His barding is very similar to the barding of, as you can see here, of the Claymore, and also his helm is a little bit more updated than the helms of the knights of the Baron's War. So yeah, this miniature, I think, and I'm going to use it, I think this miniature looks beautiful, and I think this miniature can fit very well for the 100 Years' War. So in general, for Poitiers, again, you will have big foot armies, and you will have them mixing around, as you can see here. Well, I'm creating my bases. You see, where I'm choosing to mix and match. Some bases have knights, some bases have men-at-arms, some bases have all predominantly heavy troops. But in general, again, Baron's War or any other lower ranking troops can fit, but I don't think, as you can see here, foot knights from the Baron's War, they're much less robust. Obviously, you could have some, but I think there is a big difference. They can be used, as I said, you can, put a few in there. As you can see now, this knight, yes, he could have been in the Baron's War with his shield and his helm is a bit outdated, but he wouldn't have been the majority. He probably would have been part of the lower ranking troops. But in general, I think the rank and file is our troops that can be mixed around from different manufacturers. Now, let's go. What would be the difference with Neville's Cross? And let's see what the difference will be with Neville's Cross. Neville's Cross will have less knights. The Battle of Neville's Cross was exactly the same period with Poitiers, as you can see here. And all the the Crécy campaign, excuse me. And all the big famous knights left for Crécy. And in the Battle of Neville's Cross, the northern armies fought. And these were the Nevilles, the Percys, and all these. Obviously, the knights would have been, but the men-at-arms, as you can see here, are mostly rank and file troops. You wouldn't have many other knights or men-at-arms. You would have, but you would not have that many. So if you're creating, as you can see, these photographs are from my armies for Poitiers, for Neville's Cross, for the English, you would probably need more troops that have less armor in order to portray them more realistically. You wouldn't have so many knights and well-armored men-at-arms as the English would have had, or the French would have in the Battle of Poitiers, where the elite of the elite was present, and all these had, many retainers, well-armed as well. So you're fighting Neville's Cross as the English, as you see here from photographs are coming up. You will fight with fewer knights, and more heavy infantry troops, and obviously longbowmen, as we said, are the same. But you see here how my bases look. They're very different from the bases you showed previously for the Battle of Poitiers. Now, how the Scots would have been. The Scots would have been exactly the same, as you can see here. The Scots, you will have your Scottish spearmen. The Scots were fighting with children formations. What probably they were doing is that they had usually their men-at-arms in front with their better armor and shields, and they would have had the spearmen in the back to fight the battle, to support, but the men-at-arms were in front, like the Earl of Carrick here. That would have been, usually that's how they fought. They would have been in front fighting, and the rank and file spearmen, as you can see here from the Scottish. Again, all these are my bases, my Neville's Cross armies, would have been in the back, lesser armored. Obviously, this is not exactly historically accurate, because these spearmen are very too much, let's say, irregular for the Scots. Obviously, I should have had, and the shields are not historically accurate, but they look nice, and you can, create the Scottish flag there. But you will have rank and file troops that would have the spears, some well armored, some less armored, and they would be in the behind ranks, in the back ranks, in the second and third ranks, and their knights, as you can see here very well, would have been in front, protecting them with the shield. But again, you mix them around. Not every knight was there everywhere in all the bases. But again, the difference with Neville's Cross with the battles of Poitiers and the battles of Crécy was that you will have knights that remained from England, like, as I said, the Percys and the Nevilles and all the guys who fought, all the knights who fought in Poitiers. But these were poorer, except the Percys, obviously, poorer knights, not poorer knights, because Neville's had a lot of strength, but in general, the armies of the north would have been with less knights, less retainers, less esquires, more rank and file troops, making sure that these were not, the elite knights left for Poitiers, and you will have a bit lower ranking armies. The same will be with the Scots. The Scots will have their knights, but lesser knights again, and the rank and file, the spearmen with their shields and the schildtrons, will be predominantly the number of miniatures you will have in the armies. So I think I gave you an idea how I created my armies for those three battles. Well, two battles, because I haven't fought Crécy, but I have a lot of mounted to fight Crécy. Well, not fight Crécy full, because you need a lot of knights, but close there. The resume is obviously, I'm showing you Claymore Castings because of my preference for first corps. Excellent also. Now here you can see Northampton. This is first corps miniatures. Very good miniatures. But it's up to you really what miniatures you will use. I don't think there are many manufacturers that portray this period, as far as I know. I think front rank could be considered, but they're very different in size, I think. Perry obviously are for the latter part of the 100 Years' War, the end of the 14th century, maybe, and catching up to Agincourt and Verneuil. I don't know any other manufacturers. I mean, there are many, but I don't know all. But I think that regardless of what manufacturers you're going to use, you need to try and find miniatures, as you can see now from the photographs that are coming in front of your screen, that would have had partial plate in some locations, predominantly chainmail and cloth, and they will have obviously some well-armored knights. But I think the beauty of the early 100 Years War period was that the mixture of materials that gives a charm to the miniatures, something that you don't have, although they're very beautiful in the latter part of the 100 Years War, where all knights and even man-at-arms were almost wearing full plate. So this is, guys, just this video to give you some idea of a project I was focusing for more than 2-3 years, and I research extensively. I hope you enjoyed the photographs. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.